What drives the next generation of agricultural professionals? What will drive young people to come into our industry? That's the topic we're talking about in this very fun edition of The Granary.
You ready for a conversation with some real farmers about real issues? And the best part, you're invited. So pour yourself a drink, grab a snack, most importantly, pull up a chair. Welcome to The Granary. Hey guys.
All right, guys, you heard the topic. What drives and will continue to drive the youth to enter this industry? How will we make sure we still have young people? We've been hearing since I was a kid, the average age of the American farmer is 59 and a half years old, all that kind of thing. But it's not just the farmer, it's also the people that serve the industry. We need young people to do this. It may be a little less sexy than some industries. It's not tech. It's not AI. We might be using AI. To consolidating industry, there's going to be less jobs, perhaps, than there were because fewer companies do the work, fewer farms farm the land. So I'm asking that question. The reason I did that is because we got Bret Corbett. He is with Albaugh. Albaugh is a sponsor of this episode. We very much appreciate them. They are a leading manufacturer of post-patent crop protection products. So we appreciate your sponsorship. Thank you for being here. You're a 32-year-old guy. You got an advanced degree. You work doing research for this company. How many of the 32-year-old people, 30, 29, when you were going through your schooling, whatever that was, how many other people said, why in the hell do you want to go into agriculture?
A lot. And I think it's a question that still gets asked. But I disagree with you. I don't mean to start the podcast out in a negative light. But
it's always good to disagree with Damian.
You said, it's not tech. But I think you said the word sexy, right? And I think in order to get kids younger than myself, I guess I'd call them kids, into agriculture is you have to expand that we are a tech industry. I mean, you look at the drones, you look at how we manage our crops, the way the tractors are done. We are a tech industry. You're not behind a computer every single day in Silicon Valley, but it is a tech industry. And I think that's what we have to drive that message home to get people interested.
What do you think, smart ass? Telling the young people to start by disagreeing with me? You disagree with me about everything, and I still like it.
I know. You're my good friend, Damian.
I appreciate that. We are a tech industry. We are more than the average suburbanite realizes. Ag is maybe not at the forefront, but not too many steps behind the forefront when it comes to tech adoption.
Yeah, so we are, and I guess the number one question is he said a lot of people ask why go into agriculture. I'm 39. I'm not that much older than Bret, but hell, I'm still asking myself why, right? In a challenging economy, it makes you doubt everything. And if you ask me, I've kind of kindly insinuated to my son that I'd rather he not follow in my footsteps. Bad to say, but it's the truth.
Isn't he like 7 years old?
He's 11.
Well, I mean, he's got some time.
He's got some time, but I mean, with every kid, he wants to be a football player. Then when you realize you don't have any of the physical measurements to be a football player, then you start trying to figure out an alternate path. And, I don't know. It's a tough industry to get into. It's just the toughest time to get into this industry. But the
toughest time in recent history.
Yeah, the toughest time in the last 25 years.
You could argue hopping in 1985 would have been
That's when I was born. So
yeah, right.
Maybe a little predates me. But at the end of the day, it's still critically important because everybody's going to first think military, but the base pillar of our national security comes from food supply.
Food security, right.
And take that away and watch the natives turn on each other.
Mm-hmm. Bret's point that we are the tech industry, I'm not sure if we're sexy or not. You got a kid. Is your daughter going to be in agriculture? She's what, 11?
She's 12. It's still up to her. I mean, I think she can because I think ag's evolved so fast. Like, there's going to be more decisions made, let's just say in the office, in the boardroom, than there is in the field. You're going to have specialists that go out to the field, tell you what to spray, when to spray, stuff like that. The money's going to be made on the managing side, probably more in the office in the future. And she's good with numbers. She loves digging into stuff like that. That's what I like doing. So I think that thing could be there. But one thing that, I think we've gotten ourselves in the situation that we are because for the last 30 years, everybody said, we don't want you coming back to the farm. Mm-hmm. We don't want you doing anything in ag. And that's that's where we are today is because of that. Me and Brian got a couple of interns to work with us every summer. Most of the time, they're not even from the ag community, and they turn out to be some of the best employees because they didn't hear it all growing up that they shouldn't do this. And I think that's where we're going to start finding more and more of our future is from the intern side or from kids that didn't grow up in ag, that just love doing something different every day, not sitting in the office doing the same exact thing every day, not in the lab doing the exact same trial every day, being able to do unlimited. That's the future. You got to make it fun to them again. That's what keeps us in it. Is if me and Brian had to wake up and do the exact same thing every day, we wouldn't do it. Nobody would. If you had to give the same talk every day, would you do it?
No, so it changes that. And I got, by the way, I forgot, our producer would have already put in the graphics of saying that you're Brian Adams and you're Johnny Verell, Jackson, Tennessee farmer and a worker here with Volunteer Ag Services in North Delta Bio. So anyway, I apologize. I didn't do that. I got so busy introducing our friend Bret. And I kind of wish he hadn't, because he went straight to disagreeing. And that's the thing about these young kids, these upstarts. Anyway, I don't mind that you disagree. And actually, I think you're very right. Is ag sexy? Is ag sexy? I guess was the question that we kind of threw over there. But then I want to go with the other part of what Johnny did. So first off, is it sexy?
I think it can be. I think you can make it sexy. And I think you can get the right people to jump into it. But what you're saying about the negativity that comes with it, if you grew up on a farm, you hear how hard times are. It's one of the hardest jobs, right? It's not rocket science. It's harder because you're dealing with living plants. You're not sending just a rocket off to space. So one is already a challenging job. And then two, in order to make it sexy, you got to get interest of young people. And so podcasts, for example, TikToks, like how can you make it fun? And I think with AI coming to forefront, with drones, talking about manage money, I think that's how you make it a sexy thing. Talking about feeding the world. Every kid wants a purpose, right? When you're 10 years old or 5 years old, whatever, you try to be a doctor or whatever in your living room because it has a purpose, right? I think farming has a purpose. So how do you get that message across in a fun way? That's how you make it a sexy industry.
And it starts young, because I can tell you, growing up, you get asked to go to career days at schools, right? And you go to a career day with a tractor. Every kid there, all they want to do is climb all over it in the fire truck.
Yeah, right.
But it's like after that, we start telling people, oh, you don't need to do this, or you're going to have to work hard, or you're going to have to work more than 36 hours a week if you do this. So we start turning people's minds, and that's something we've conditioned.
So it's funny you say that. First off, yes, when you go and when the career day is, John Verell pulls in there in a 425 horsepower tractor, it's all shined up, and then the other people on the career day are
in suits,
a CPA. Like, let's see, what do you do? I do math. Oh, I don't like math. What do you do? I drive a tractor. Oh, that's cool. Here's the thing, though. You said a couple of things about your daughter and the future and what will drive them to be in it. And you said, well, the money's going to be made on the management side. It already is there. You're better at your desk than your dad was. Not because he was bad at it, because you had to be.
Yeah.
And the future is going to be that way, which does make it start to sound a little bit like just another job. I mean, it's not driving tractors necessarily. Kelly Garrett will make the point he didn't even hang on to a wheel anymore. He says, it's just not this. I just got so much other things to manage. So it might lose a little bit of its sexy factor.
It might, but some people might not enjoy driving the tractors anyways. Some people love digging into numbers, doing all that type of thing. I used to spend 6 days a week on a combine or 6 days a week on a tractor. I'd probably do good now to be on the tractor 3 days a week, 4 days a week, because so much time needs to be spent.
Yeah, you run the business.
You put stuff off, it's costing you money. So, keeping up with paperwork, doing that type of thing is just as important. But there's so many other things. He's talked about drones. One of the interns was with us this summer. He was fascinated with drones. We have a drone that we use for research on the farm and stuff like that. He did a lot of stuff. He's hooked on it.
Yeah.
He wants to go get his license. He wants to do this. He wants his own drone service. That's how you start that spark with these kids nowadays, is to give them a chance, show them that there's other things to do other than to sit in a tractor and hold a steering wheel. Some people love that too.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about the kids nowadays that are wanting to go to Votech school, wanting to go to college, whatever it is. They want something that's trendy, neat, new. That's where they're wanting to be. And right now, drones is it for sure, but there'll be something else in 5 years that'll be it too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because, my grandpa plowing, horse and plowed, and my dad got tractors. And then, you get to my generation, and, before you had to go in the field and scout, you're dirty all day long. You're trying to figure out what disease, what insect, what pest you have, what weed you have, what do you need to spray. There's AI modeling for that. You need to know what's in your soil. You can put live soil, meters in there now, where it's an app on your phone. You're talking about management. Those are the things that you're going to spend less time on the tractors, more time looking through data, analyzing that. So I think data analysts learning how to use this technology, that to me, that sounds fun and exciting. I mean, I do like driving a tractor, but after about an hour, I'm ready to get back in the house. Especially we were too poor to have the big nice ones with the GPS system. So it's dusty, it's windy, it's hot. So I do think it can be a sexy industry and organization. But it's just, how do you market to that? And that's.
I want to go to our Brian buddy here, because you said it's a tough time to get in. Well, we've only really been in this downturn. We're recording this in September of 2025. So we are in about a year now of this downturn, maybe a year and a half. We're not talking about an extended downturn like obviously the 80s there by references. And as you pointed out, you were born then. I wonder if it's going to dampen the enthusiasm. I go to the Farm Progress Show and I see still a bunch of FFA kids running around. They're all excited. Well, mostly to get free crap from the booths, but the part of it is there's still a lot of enthusiasm. Has it dampened the enthusiasm yet?
No, I don't.
If you went to Mississippi State right now, where you graduated from multiple times, there's still a bunch of kids in the ag school over there, and they're 21, 3, whatever, getting an advanced degree. They're still thinking this is a place for them.
Yeah, and I would say that if I look back at 23-year-old me, a certain level of naivety at that point, right, of not even really realizing what's going on in the industry. So no, I don't know that it's really dampened, and I wouldn't want to be the one to dampen it. I think we all hit our frustrating times of the industry has been at better days, certainly. Like you said, about 2 years in now to this, I find myself staying more frustrated probably than I used to. But on the days that it all works out, I find myself probably rewarded as much, if not more, than I ever have because of it. So you certainly got to learn to take the good with the bad. But I would say no at this point. But I would also argue that, or at least no at this point, those spirits haven't been dampened of those people coming into the industry. But again, I think it goes back to at least me. 23-year-old me was an idiot at best. So
well, we all were. We got that.
Right, but your perspective of what was really going on in the broader scheme of things is not nearly as broad as it is once you've been here a while.
You have a tremendous amount more perspective on the breadth of agriculture today at age 40 or 39.
But you also know where to go get jobs after you've been in it for a while. And I would say that. I tell them all the time, the interns, if I get to go talk to kids at school, is always do something be different. If 70% of the kids are going to be in one degree, don't be in the 70%.
Yeah, right.
Go something else, because you graduate and you're in the 5%, you got a lot higher chance of getting a job there. And might not be the easiest track, but I think a lot of times people want to hit the easy button, but there's still plenty of things going on in ag. Through these down times, there'll be companies that get started up that'll be thriving during this economy that we have here, right? Yeah. Now, they might not thrive as much when things turn, but there's always, if you can pivot and adjust, you can make it happen.
Oh, I think it's exciting times. I know we're in a down time, but I think it's exciting if you're a 21-year-old kid, because you're solving world problems. Yeah. You have meaning, right? The technology that we're going to have is exciting. There's going to be new AIs that are launched that are new classes of chemistry, new modes of action. Your inputs are going to be a lot different. You're talking about, $400,000 for a tractor or whatever, what we were saying earlier. Those inputs are going to other places because of the technology and where we're heading. People are...
And farming's evolving. Yeah, there's new weeds that are getting more resistant. There's new bugs.
We got new problems. We're going to dragons to slay.
But that's the thing. It's not the same as it always
The dragon to slay forever that drove us to this point, at least until the last 40 years, was we got to make more food. We're all going to starve. We started conquering that by the 1980s, which is why we had the 1980s. We had massive amounts of supply and surplus. And a lot of people don't want to believe that was what was the beginning of the 80s was because of supply. The new dragons is to slay. If I'm a young person and someone asks me, I say, environmental issues, food waste, continual reduction of applied nutrients because we've over-applied them. Again, a lot of those things have an environmental component to them without sacrificing yield. And then, of course, nutrients in our food. We've got massive amounts of calories, but look around. We also have massive amounts of food-related problems, whether that's ag's fault or not. I mean, obviously, we've got some obesity, we've got diabetes, we got stuff that we've never had before. I think those are the new dragons to slay in agriculture. Am I right? You've got a perspective.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you're saying.
Making up for the earlier disagreement, I would say, Brian.
Yeah.
Well, you hit it, and going back to what Bret was saying about trying to make this a more attractive or a more sexy industry. You look at everything that's happening right now along the nutrient reductions because of the over application, how out of balance our soils are, what we're using now, whether it be, true living biology, whether it be polymer technologies, whatever it may be. There's a million rabbits to chase down those holes right there, and I think everybody's looking for the one thing, and I don't know that at least right now the track we're on, there's not going to be a one thing, but figuring out how to put all this together from a standpoint of environmental safety, right? Because we do care. I've never met a farmer that doesn't want to steward that land to the best of their ability, right? That's how they make their livelihood. So that's number one at the forefront of their mind, regardless of what public would want to tell you. But being able to chase that rabbit and turn it into a system that is profitable and economical for the farm to put us back into a position where we can be successful on the turn row.
Well, that's the next thing. When we opened this thing by saying what drives and will drive the next generation, obviously we care. And we got more youth, and you're in your early 40s. I started thinking, what's the handoff? What's this thing look like? And I'm not talking about just farming. I'm talking about the entire food processing, the stuff that comes out of the where that goes to our grocery store, everything in between. Well, obviously what drives everything is need and finance. Is the money going to be there? Farming is going to have to change because clearly where that is. And then a bunch of our other stuff at the consumer level and grocery level are going to have to do some evolution also, because we've whittled it down with a commodity mindset production to there's no margin anywhere. And I think the money part of it, probably a bunch of people said to Bret, why are you doing this, man? Go work over here. You make more money. I'm sure you got told that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know if you could have. I don't know what they pay you, and I don't know what the competitive is. Hell, I haven't entered for a job for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, if you're big enough growers, there's and then chemical companies and stuff like that. There's money to be made, but I don't know if it was the first thing forefront. If you're looking at it as just only profit, I don't know if you pick this industry.
Yeah.
Unless you're inheriting something.
But there's always niches out there that you can make. You can
100%.
Yeah,
make your own path.
Yeah, it's real easy for if you're saying I'm going to be in the production side. If you've got a tremendous amount of inherited capital, this game gets really easy. Yeah, you suffer through paltry margins, but you also have certain tax advantages, mechanisms, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if you're talking about coming into the industry, entrepreneurial venture, or working in corporate, I don't know. Did you get did you get headhunted by other companies that weren't in ag?
Not really. No, I had probably similar experience in grad school. It was very, single.
Laned. You were laned. You were going to go into this space.
Yeah. But I mean, in all fairness, I chose this industry. And that wasn't my original plan. My dad was a farmer. My grandpa was a farmer. I wanted to not be a farmer. I thought med school was the route. I did pre-med. I took the MCAT. I got in. But there's something inherent in that DNA that just drives you back. Right. And even though it's a challenging job, probably the hardest job, as I mentioned earlier, it's very rewarding.
Well, we talked at dinner last night that a lot of us came back to ag after being away from it and came back into it. And I guess you come back to your roots. But then there was this thing where for a while when things were booming, oh my God, we need more people. We're not gonna have enough people. And I don't know if that's the concern now. We're back to
the shrink swell of the industry.
Right. We go through a shrink swell because we're a cyclical business. And then parents come home and say, don't get in this business.
Yeah.
Don't get it. I mean, I'm sure
probably the biggest thing that's hurting the business is there's less farmers every year.
Yeah.
That's probably honestly the biggest thing that's hurting. Whether you're in the retail side or whatever it is, there's less people to call on.
Sure. Same acres get covered, same amount of products get sold, probably even more product. We're using a bigger diversity of products per acre than we did probably in the 1970s, I should think. But fewer decision makers.
Yeah.
Fewer hands, but that's okay because a lot of it was physical labor. What's the first to go? A lot of these admin. I guess somebody told me that the AI is going to replace 30% of ag retail because so much of it is just administrative and repetitive stuff. Not the guy out driving the sprayer, not the person loading the rigs, but the stuff that happens between you and them.
Yeah, like the accounting side, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's going to get more efficient for sure. I mean, like
more tax.
But I could see big. The farmers are going to get larger. They're going to order in bulk too. So I mean, it's. I think things are going to change, but ag's been changing for the past 50 years. I mean, you look at where we started, 4 generations ago, we were plowing with mules, and then where we are today, where honestly, you got tractors with nobody in them. So, I mean, it's constantly changing. There's always going to be areas for you to have jobs in. You're just going to need to, you might not need to be set in your ways. You're only going to do this for the rest of your life.
Well, that's the biggie. I think there's going to be positions. I mean, we've been hearing that automation is going to replace humans since John Henry lost to the steam shovel. So, but the problem is there's still plenty of jobs. So where are they going to be in ag? Because that will drive whether they come into it. If you said it's going to be picking cauliflower, it ain't going to happen. If you said it's going to be operating drones, clearly you said it's going to happen.
Well, I think, with AI,
the tech side is
that's a servicing of the tech.
Yeah.
I think that's going to open up some jobs. So we may lose 35% in the office accounting,
billing, whatever
stuff. But then, all right, let's say I have to implement 1,000 soil, meters. And some of them go bad. You got to have somebody come out and service those. You got now manufacturers of soil meters because now they're getting made in bulk. So would you lose one, but you're gaining in other areas?
And we have less employees on our farm now than we did when we farmed, 20% of what we do now. But there's more stuff done in the office now for record keeping and stuff like that. Yeah, some of it's AI. Yeah. Some of it you got to make sure that you're in compliance and all this stuff. It's a little more to it. Things are evolving. I think the future, in ag is still bright. I think what we've been doing is not going to be what we're going to do in the next 5 years. Even from the end user standpoint of what we're going to be doing with our corn, what we're going to be doing with our soybeans, all that's going to be changing. Hopefully, for more processors, stuff like that. I think hopefully this country keeps building more and more on the backs of what we have, and we start using more and more of our products here versus shipping them. If we start doing that, there's all kinds of potential job opportunities coming up in a hurry.
All right. Your 11-year-old, you said, I don't think I want to encourage my kid to go in this. You also just said about the shrink and the swell because we're in a cyclical business. I graduated from Purdue in 92. There was really no place to go in ag. And I would have never encouraged anybody to be in ag. And next thing you know, I'm back in it 10, 12, 15 years later. And it's an exciting place to be. Your kid's 11. There could be 2 shrinks and swells before this kid's entering the workforce.
Yep. And I mean, when I say that, just, understand I'm going off of what I call MRI. It's most recent information and where we stand now. So does some of that come from my own frustration? Sure. Maybe it will be a place for him. If I wanted to, if he was going to be here and I wanted to see him anywhere, I do think it would be probably on the tech side, possibly development, that or in, eventually working his way into a senior level management type position, because those are the ones they'll withstand. It's everything in the middle that's going to get, consumed during the shrink swell cycle.
Maybe, except for there's stuff that you still have to have a touch on. I get this thing. You know why? I mean, 10 years ago, I spoke at a community college that was ramping up their 2-year program because they said, you know what, we keep hearing, we need somebody that knows how to operate this machine. We need somebody that knows has technically enough competence to do this. We don't need somebody just to sit at the laptop. We also don't need somebody to, go out and work a shovel. It's that middle there that they thought that they needed people. But, of course, time marches on.
Yep.
AI, you're 32. You're supposed to be more adaptive and at the forefront of technology the younger you are. So you've got everybody at this table beat. Are you more in touch with AI and what's happening with its application in ag than us? Probably. But what do you see that I may not?
Well, I think the future is a black hole, right? We know the direction it's going. We don't know how fast it's moving. We don't really know exactly how it works. And I think the education for how to implement AI properly and how to kind of make the spectrum smaller to make it work in our field that's where the direction is. I mean, programming, computers.
I don't think it's there yet.
No,
I think it's still just this. Yeah, AI. It's cute to say, but I don't see its application. A friend of mine runs an ag consulting firm, and he's using it to do what a paralegal used to do. So he's already circumvented that. That's cool for base level contractual agreements.
Yeah.
That ain't steady revolutionary.
Yeah. and it's they have models, predictability models, right? When disease or when insects coming up from South America, you're going to go spray, but are you going to follow that today? Absolutely not. Like, you're still going to go scout, you're going to do the right things.
Right.
We're probably 5, 10, 15 years down the road for those. I would say for it to be accurate models. For example, when I was in grad school, we had an AI model that we were building on a sprayer that's supposed to pick certain weeds within, different cropping systems to spray that individual weed. It worked about 30% of the time. And this was the latest, greatest coming out of Switzerland. I mean, it was cutting edge stuff.
That was how many years ago?
That was a year and a half ago.
So you could argue that it's twice as good now, a year and a half later, than it was then, because that's about the pace of
but just because you get it there, you still got to have the farmer's got to pick it up. Yeah. And that takes time too.
And servicing, and you got to program it for your field specific clays. I mean, soil type, silt, loam, and it's going to evolve as the farmer evolves, but we're still a ways away from being able to use it and solely rely on it.
Where are you right now in your journey? I'm a year of saying I need to use AI more and get more familiar into my journey. I'm a year of saying I need to do it.
Yeah. I mean, we're collecting a lot of data, especially on irrigation, trying to figure out if we need to be watering and stuff like that. We're using drones. We're not using them on every acre. I think that is the future. Drones will probably be the future for a lot of spraying. It's going to be adopted really fast when it does happen, I think. We're just on the cusp of if it's justifiable yet, and it takes so much manpower right now to fly 2 drones, 3 drones. Yeah. One day you'll have 10 out there and one guy will be managing it. That's when it'll be there. I think there's a lot of farmers that are constantly evolving, trying to figure out, what they can do to be more efficient, reduce the nutrients, reduce the inputs, reduce the seed, all that stuff. That's going to constantly keep evolving over time. On our operation, we've been doing a lot of that stuff for the past 20 years. I think what's going to happen in the next 5 years is going to be huge, though, in the reduction of stuff we're going to be doing.
So I said we open what drives and will drive the next generation. So there's the sexy factor. There's the this is cool factor. This is tech. But there's sources from outside saying things like, oh, why would you want to be over there? Is the money going to be there? Because I don't care how cool and sexy. I mean, there's things that folks will do for free. They'll try comedy, sports, anything entertainment, but I'm not sure they're going to go and work in a grain processing engineering job for free. So there's got to be money there.
Yeah. There's got to be money there. I do think money will be there. I think there's probably, from the outside looking in, you look at the billionaire backers, the Metas, and everybody behind that pushing the AI, pushing tech. Will the money be there? Yes. Will it look anything 5 years from now like it looks right now? Probably not, because it's all a shotgun approach.
Yeah.
And look who's been putting the money in ag here lately. Yeah. It's not ag.
It's not ag at all. It's not ag.
No.
They know where they can get the biggest return. It's on some of these new innovations.
Yeah, which is, when the money drives, I've made that point to an audience. When there's money flowing in, it should still make you, let's not jump on the lifeboats yet. This ship ain't going down. When there's money coming into this industry, but to Brian's point, it's coming. It's so sporadic. It was biologicals. It was controlled environment agriculture. I mean, we're all going to obsessed on lettuce grown in an old warehouse south of Cleveland. Yeah. And they're going to replace the Salinas Valley. It's never going to happen. Yeah. So there's just still money coming in here, but it seems so disjointed that I'm not sure that the money has a good idea where the future's going. What do you think?
I agree. I agree with you. I think, it's not a defined approach where it's coming in at. I think, it's a plethora of different platforms and inputs right now. And I don't know which direction it's headed.
I think that's why you see so many startups right now, and people willing to throw money after startups to see what is going to stick, right? Like, you got these people, money right now with the cost of money. Does it do you any good to keep it in the bank?
No.
You want to put it somewhere where it's going to make something, right? So that money that's sitting there from these billionaire, whatever you want to call them, tech type firms or people, they're wanting to be a part of that. And you're right. They say where their return's going to come from. They just don't know exactly where.
By the way, I did this with Chad and Temple, and they lose their mind, and they get a spoon and threaten to hit me because they said they don't like me pointing at them. So I'm sorry, I just did that. Money coming into ag from that investor class generally then has a lot of excitement attached to it. You talk about what's going to drive the next generation? That.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go and work for this company that makes, cornstarch just like they have since 1896. No, I want to go and work for this startup that's doing this crazy new thing in agriculture. That's exciting. That's sexy. That's, as long as there's money coming in doing that kind of stuff, I think we have no problem bringing the next generation in.
Absolutely.
Are we going to be overpopulated then?
At some point.
Few years. I'm not talking about humans on a planet because we know that ain't going to happen. I'm talking about in our industry. We have too many people in this business, and all of a sudden they start giving guys like you a golden handshake.
It's the swell or the shrink. That's the swell before the shrink. If you got enough money, you can take my golden handcuffs off. I'll go to the house.
What do you think? Are there too many people your generation in, or are there not enough?
Well, the recent study was less than, 6% in America, was less than 35% in farming. So I think there's room to grow. Yeah. There's got to be room to grow. Else we won't be having this conversation about the next generation coming in. So I think it has to. I don't know if there's got to be, the baby boomers get out. There's going to be a large shoes to fill. Yeah.
And look at it from my side, from the farmer side. We don't have the generation coming up fast enough to take over what's out there. Yeah. And smaller families too. Yeah. You used to have 3, 4 sons or 3, 4 kids, and now you're having 1 or 2
kids.
Yeah.
The generation that you and I are a part of. I mean, I look back, I went to a very rural high school in the middle of and maybe it's not big ag, country in terms of Iowa or Illinois or even, specialty markets out in California, but a very rural, very ag focused community. Less than 1% of people I graduated with are in agriculture.
Yeah.
Right. So we asked the question, what drives it? It's got to be the money. It's got to be the sexy factor. You talked about tech. Tech brings it back. You think it's going to be based on the swell or the shrink. If there's a necessity, the money's there.
So, some of all. Yeah. Some of all the above.
And you think it's going to be, there's going to be so few people in it. You think there's going to be a dearth, a shortage of human capital, and that's what will make the opportunity.
I think so. Because, we see it already now that people that didn't grow up in ag are already want to be involved in ag. They think it's neat. They think it's cool what we're doing. The drone.
And there's a bit of a vacuum.
Yeah. And it pulls them in, and they tell their friends, and they all want to come too. It's, there's people to pick from right now.
Are you concerned?
I'm not overly concerned.
Excited?
I'm a little excited, yeah.
More competition?
It's very niche-y, right? It's at a parties, you sit there talking, they're like, hey, what do you do for a living? And you explain, I work for an ag industry, I work for a chemical company. I'm the only person there that does that. And it gains interest, as you were saying, from outside perspective. So I think it's exciting and cool. Absolutely.
And the money's going to be there?
I think the money will be there. Yeah.
And the new excitement, what did you talk about? Mission? What did you talk about? Purpose. You said purpose.
I think a lot of people.
I'm not sure that I'm not kidding. I don't think that my generation and older really cared. The boomers all cared, pretended they did. They burned their draft cards and whatever, thought they were changing the world. They might have thought, but I'm not sure that your generation, I think there really is something more about purpose than there is for the others.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are purpose driven. And I think the fact that you see the billboards or whatever, and you think a farmer, if you have 3 meals a day, I think that type of mentality is what's going to help save this industry.
I'm going to leave it right there. His name is Bret Corbett. He's with a company called Albaugh. Albaugh sponsored this episode as well as another one, and they are a business partner here at XtremeAg. So if you get a chance, you want to learn about their lineup of post-patent products for crop protection, you can go to
albaugh.com.
ALBAUGH.com. Johnny Verell, Brian, my friend Adams, right here, up from Tennessee, sitting at the Granary, and you just got to sit at the Granary also. We invite you to check out all of our fun episodes. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, join the conversation. If you have something you want us to cover at the Granary, please drop us a line. We'd love to make this something that is even more interesting to you. We like doing this, and we have dozens and dozens of episodes out there. Please share this with somebody that can enjoy it. Also, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Till next time, thank you very much for joining us right here at the Granary.
Thank you.
Nice job. You did